Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Sherry Fischel-Swigert, the 4-H agent here in Currituck County, and this is Earth Day week. So we thought we'd have a little program today showing how you can help your environment, help your garden, and save a little money with the use of mini rain barrels. This little workshop or demonstration is designed for youth of all ages. The younger they are, the little more help they'll need, particularly when using the tools. But it's actually a family-friendly program to put in your garden and help your environment, help your pocketbook, and keep your garden well watered throughout the summer months. So there are benefits to having rain barrels. You can have a full-size rain barrel. You can have these mini rain barrels that we're going to design today. You could actually create a cistern in your yard to collect all the water that runs off of your roof. What we're talking about today is collecting water to use with plants that you have potted on your deck. Small square foot gardening type boxes in your yard. You're going to collect 2 to 3 gallons with each collection cycle. You can increase that and link it to a larger 50-gallon rain barrel. Those are fairly simple to make, and we do have that video and program available if you want to upgrade from the smaller ones. But this is family friendly, and it's a fun thing to do with your kids, and it's a fun thing to let them collect the water, measure the water, and water your garden. You're going to save money, particularly if you live in an area where you have to pay for water to your home. You're going to have water available when it's hot and dry and it's not raining. Granted, with the little mini rain barrels, you're going to only have 2 to 3 gallons, but that's 2 to 3 gallons that's available when it's not raining. Rainwater is better for your soil. It's a more pure type of water because it's of the evaporation cycle, and the cycle of water is more pure and has the appropriate minerals that help your soil and help your plants, even your indoor plants. And every bit of water that you collect off your roof or off your deck or out of your gutters that are on the house is a step in the direction of preventing more erosion around your house. You know, if you have a gutter, you're likely to have erosion where the gutter drops to the ground on the corners of your house. If you don't have a gutter, you can have erosion all around your house. And while it may not look like much in the beginning, significant rainfall or storms can create problems for you later. So there's all kinds of benefits to having a rain barrel of any type, but these are more localized to small gardening, or if you live in an apartment, you can collect rainwater on your patio or on your balcony. So they're useful everywhere, and they help you conserve water. And that's a natural resource that's in a dwindling supply each year that we go by. So anything that we can do to recycle the water and conserve the water is a good step for our environment and our planet. So we're going to talk about mini rain barrels today and rain gauges so that you can teach your child how to measure water and why that's important. And the barrel I'm going to show you today is made out of almost all recycled materials. As you can see here, those materials that you may not have at home are inexpensive or can be found at the thrift store, or if you don't want to wait to empty a laundry detergent jug, you can inexpensively purchase a water or iced tea dispenser that already has a spout on it, and that's important since we're doing this with children. You don't want to have to install a spout, so you want to find a container that has a spout already on it, which is why we went with laundry detergent jug. With a rain gauge, I'm going to show you 2 simple ones. One involves a mason jar or a glass jar and a ruler, and the other one is an empty clear soda, 2-liter soda bottle. So your all-in cost on that is however much it costs you for the ruler. And I did actually purchase some mesh or screening because that's important to, particularly for the rain barrel, to keep other debris and mosquito out of your water while you're collecting it. So all told, I think I spent $5.50 for the materials for all of these projects, less the jug. The jug was $6, but pretty inexpensive project, and it's everlasting. So let's make a rain jug, or a rain barrel collection system, and let's make a rain gauge. So I'm going to show you both ways. If you have a jug that you saved from laundry detergent, so you got to use the laundry detergent, and you're going to recycle this jug. The first step you want to determine is where you're going to place your jug outside to collect the rainwater. If you're going to put it at the end of a downspout from your gutter system, you can cut the hole exactly to fit that spot. If you're going to put it to collect rainwater off your roof, you're going to want to use a funnel to make a larger collection area. So you're going to want to measure your funnel. You could see I have a fancy funnel because this is all I could find. A basic, inexpensive, perfectly round funnel would be your better choice, but this will work, whatever you have. If you already have an old one, clean it and use it. If you have to get a new one, they're 99 cents. I just couldn't get to a round one, so I use this one out of my car. Your jug, if you're using laundry detergent, clean it thoroughly. You don't want to leave any detergent in the jug. So that's step one. Then determine where you're going to place it. And that's going to determine, as you can see, I cut this in the top of my jug, this hole, to fit the spout. So I measured the base of this spout here. So this will forever go with this jug because that's what the hole was for. And then set it so that the spout could go in and be secured. If you're going to do downspout, just measure your downspout and cut the hole to fit the downspout. And you can actually put your downspout half an inch or an inch into your rain barrel, and that'll help collect the water. So you can paint these, and I would recommend, that's a fun project with your kids to do. Just you can use spray paint and paint the jug, let it dry, then let your children decorate it. I'm not going to turn mine anymore. It's a laundry jug. If you don't want to wait, or you don't use this type of laundry detergent, or you don't have access to one, you can go to the store and purchase these. They're relatively inexpensive. They already have a spout. They're already have the hole, so we don't need to cut a hole. So that's another option that you can use to make these little mini. It's a little bit larger too. This is about 1.5 gallons, and this is 2.5 gallons. So if you feel like you want to collect a little more, this may be your better option. These don't come any larger that I could determine. So a 1.5 gallon size is what you're going to get with the recycled material one. We've measured, we've cut our hole. In this case, because I'm using a spout instead of the downdraft, I'm going to secure my spout there. I have super glue, and I've marked the spots so that under here and under here, because it's odd shaped, I will glue that into position. If you get a heavy rain or the actual position of where you're collecting the water, you don't want the wind to knock it down or heavy rain to knock it off. This increases the collection area, and observe your when it rains, observe your house. There's always corners on your home where there'll be more rainwater coming off your roof, or for young children, you can put it out in the yard and let them collect the water out in the yard so they can see the rain going in. We have a 5-year-old that just absolutely loves to put buckets and anything that will hold rain out in the yard when it rains. so he can collect as much water for his garden and his sunflowers that are growing. So it's up to you where you place it. So this is ready to go. That's all you had to do was cut the hole, put the spout. Now, we covered it with mesh, and I already covered this one. You can use a rubber band. You can use some type of duct tape. Duct tape would be good if you're not planning on using the spout for, to take it back in the winter or whatever, because once you duct tape that mesh, it's there. But you definitely want the mesh. You don't want debris from your roof or leaves blowing into your water, and you definitely do not want bugs like mosquitoes to breed. But they breed in standing water, and you're creating standing water when you're collecting water. So definitely use the mesh. I just have one little piece we got from the home supply store, and you can cut it. You can use a piece of screen if you have an old piece of screen that you don't want to purchase. That's what I have at home on my large rain barrel, is a piece of screen out of an old screen door. So you do want fine mesh. The smaller the hole, all the water is going to go in, but it will keep more of the debris out of your water. So now you have 2 rain barrels. You don't need the lid. I would save it, just because if I filled up my container and I didn't need it, I would probably put the lid back on until I did need the water. But you don't need the lid so long as you have a piece of mesh. So on this container, we're actually just going to lay the mesh over the top. And in this case, a simple rubber band will work and will be fairly secure because it's uniform in size around the corner. And that's all you have to do to keep, and then pull it even, which so that it's all secure and you have the netting over your rain barrel. So mini rain barrel. And I think you'll find your young kids, particularly the 5 to 8 year range, will love making these and then watering their flowers with these. Many of the kids, they can just carry the water barrel directly to their garden. You've saved 3 gallons of water that you didn't have to pay for or use. And we've recycled water. This water is better for your plants, so keep that in mind. One of the ways to increase your children's knowledge about their environment and about our natural resources is to help them measure how much rain actually comes down in a storm. And here again, we can use totally recycled materials to make a simple rain gauge that they can put out in the yard and measure rain each cycle and log it. So why do we want them to know about it? What does rain do for us? Well, it indicates when we might have droughts. It's weather patterns. It gets them started learning the effects of water on our environment and how that can affect them. A drought means that anything that they want to grow agriculturally or in their home garden is going to be a problem for lack of water. And it allows us to teach them that with this database of how much rainfall in the month of January versus how much rainfall in July is a planning tool for families, for communities, and for everybody really, because it predicts weather patterns and helps them understand the weather system. So I have 2 range gauges that we're going to make here. One is a 2-liter soda bottle that was recycled. I cut the top 4 inches off of the bottle and just stuck it down inside. The reason I did that is it helps funnel the water in. In a rainfall, you're not likely to collect more than 15 centimeters, so it didn't affect how much rain we could collect and measure. And we did do it in centimeters because it allows you a finer detail in collection. Another skill you can teach your child is converting centimeters to inches. I'm using bolts just because they show up better in the video, but gravel leftover garden beads, glass beads, anything you want to put in the bottom to create a little weight to keep it steady. It has nothing to do with your water measurement, but it keeps your gauge steady out in the yard in the spot, whichever you put it. So your next step, if you're using the soda bottle, is to actually take a piece of tape, lay it down on the table. I'm using this blue tape. It just shows up a little bit better. You can use masking tape. I don't recommend any kind of Scotch or clear tape because it's generally harder to write on. And then you're going to take your ruler and you're going to just measure, make your measurements and make a mark. Oh, I gotta have a ruler with centimeters. So you're going to take the ruler and you're going to mark off 10 centimeters is more than accurate. You want your bottom, your zero to be at the bottom of your tape. And then just make the increments. Mark the increments. 1, 2. Don't try to do this on the bottle. The reason we're doing it on the flat surface is you can be more accurate with your measurements. If you try to do it on this round bottle, it will become a little more difficult to stay accurate. You can do that up to 10 on this one here. I did it up to 15. Then you take your tape, find a line on the bottom. In this case, there was a line right here that I could put the number 1 on. Put your tape there, secure it. I actually, if you can see, I doubled it down to the inside of the container just to make it more secure. And then you're going to fill your rain gauge with water up to the 0 mark. Because you need the bottom of this container, as you can see, is not even, it's not the same level. So you need a starting point for where you're collecting water from. So you're going to put water in this gauge up to the 0, which in my case is the bottom edge of the tape. I actually cut the 0 and made it an even cut. Then you have a rain gauge, and you can measure each time it rains. You don't need to worry about the mesh because you're going to dump it and reset it, and you can clean it if you're using bolts or glass beads in the bottom. If you're using gravel, you just have to dump it and fill it back up to your 0, and then you're set and ready to go the next time. Another fairly easy and simple rain gauge is to take a ruler. Make sure that the ruler goes all the way to the end. You start at the end. As you can see, as you can see with this one, I don't know if you can see it, but I have almost a 1/4 inch of extra ruler material before we get to the 0 mark. So this is not going to work for you unless you want to actually cut that extra ruler off. Just find a ruler. This was a 40-something cent ruler. Actually, this was a free ruler. But you can find inexpensive rulers where the measurements go end to end across the ruler. So all you're going to do is get a mason jar, any flat bottom jar. This one is a flat bottom jar, recycled material again. You're going to take a little bit of glue and get the bottom edge of your ruler and put a little bit of glue on the bottom edge of your ruler, stick it in your glass jar, and secure it. And you have a rain gauge. This will stand, the one I have at home stands just like that. Now, if you have young children, I recommend you glue the ruler to the front side of the jar. It's a little easier for them to read. But if it's for you or older children, gluing it to the back side of the jar shouldn't be a problem. It's secure either way. You have the same security within the mason jar by gluing it to the front or the back side of the jar. You just need to be able to read the numbers on the ruler. A lot of rulers have numbers on both sides, and that is a good type of ruler to use in there. But that's it. Ruler, mason jar, you have a rain gauge. And you have a rain gauge that you can measure all summer long. Take it in or continue to go in the winter. But it helps you see how much rain. Another, I think a more apt lesson for children is plants need so much rain each week and each month. By making a rain gauge and teaching them how to record their data, they can look back and say, oh, we only got 1 inch of rain in the last 3 weeks. That's not enough for my plants. We need to add water to our plants. So that's a more apt lesson, particularly for the younger set of children, on why we measure rainfall and why a rain gauge is a good thing to make and learn to use. Both of these items are good for your home, good for your environment, and they save you money. They provide multiple lessons or activities that you can do as a family, particularly with children. And they're simple, inexpensive, all told across the board here, even counting tape and glue, I've spent less than $10. Not counting the price of the detergent, but I was buying that anyway, so it didn't matter. And you can use them for as long as they last, and they're plastic. They're going to last a long time. They're plastic and glass. So these are great Earth Day activities to do this week, and then carry on through the summer with your family. There will be a link with the step-by-step instructions written, along with the supply materials and a couple of hints that I learned along the way. Don't use an odd-shaped funnel. It just makes construction a little more difficult. And that'll be linked directly to this video. And as always, if you have any questions, please feel free to contact us at the Extension office or me directly, and that contact information will also be linked to this video. Thank you and have a great day.